It's been a very long time since I've done a game review, and I've never reviewed a Nintendo game before. I didn't really know much about this game when it first came out, other than it was the newest 2D Mario platformer and had a new style to it. Well, a friend and I were stuck in California for 3 weeks at the end of last year and didn't really have much to do, unless we wanted to rapidly run out of money, so I downloaded the game and we decided to play through it. We got about halfway before our trip ended, and only recently I was able to completely beat the game on my Steam Deck. If you want to know my thoughts on emulation, here's a video right here for you. At first, the game amazed me. There was so much to like, but as I played it more and more, especially with my buddy, I realized this game needed to be stored in a special place in hell. Okay, no, it's not that bad, but I gotta be honest here, playing this game made me realize that the new Super Mario Bros. Style games that had, granted, been re-released way too many times were changing, and some of the aspects of those games that made them so fun have been tossed to the side with this new game. Let's start with the pros though. This game deserves big props for what it does well, starting with the new art style. The animation in the art in this game is next level. It's just beautiful and fluid. Getting a power-up, diving into a pipe, and shrinking in size after taking damage makes this game feel so much more alive. The creative levels and level design is also great. In every level you can collect a star seed, which drastically changes the flow, the objective, and the difficulty. Sometimes you're thrown into a more challenging situation. Other times the game puts on a show for you, and this star seed event is just there to entertain you. It makes the game feel so playful instead of your run-of-the-mill back-to-back make-it-to-the-end structure we've had before. Along with that, we also have challenge levels. These levels test your abilities with certain badges, and when you win, you unlock them to use in any level you like. See, in this game, you collect badges that gives your character a certain perk. You can pick super jump, super speed, coin magnet, there's a hidden items finder. Though, through both of my playthroughs, I never saw a reason to pick anything other than parachute hat, besides 1 or 2 water levels that would benefit from the dolphin badge. Badges aren't the only thing though. We also have new power-ups like the drill hat, the bubble flower, and the elephant, but we can get into those a little bit later. Another thing I really like that we've seen in other Mario games is this extra power-up slot. It's just nice to have that around so you can hold on to power-ups that you like. The last thing I really like, and this has nothing to do with how Nintendo made this game, but if you play this on your computer or your Steam Deck, there's a pretty large modding community. You can download new levels, alternate characters, randomizers, bisexual Luigi's overalls? What? No joke, there's legitimately a mod that makes the talking flowers cuss at you. It's funny for about 3 minutes. The fact that mods were introduced almost immediately after the game launched means Mario Wonder will likely see tons of content for years to come, even if not by Nintendo themselves. As great as this game is though, there were some things that I found myself missing as I played it. Now, I want to say this, taking this game as it is and putting it into a vacuum, it's amazing. It's a super fun, playful, enjoyable experience that could easily continue going back to. But since it's not in a vacuum, I've got some things to say. As I played this game, it started to remind me of that guy in high school who was cool, but you didn't really know why. He always had nice hair, dressed nice, smiled a lot, but the second you talked to him, he was kind of annoying and talked about things you didn't care about. The first stage of every level is a bunch of lore that nobody wants. This great value Jiminy Cricket has to tell you about every single grain of sand before you play. Then, when he finally shuts up, the first level is actually a hut where you're just given a seed. I'd like to think of this as an apology from Nintendo for making you read through all the pointlessness, but they're still talking. So finally, you enter a level, you play through it, you beat it, and you remember that this game is that cool guy from high school, and then, god damn it! The second you leave the level, you either have to talk to that caterpillar or this king flower bitch about something. Dude, you'll get more women if you just act a bit more mysterious. Say less words to me. This kind of thing happens in other areas of the game too. Once you beat a level and hit the flag, it takes roughly 12 seconds for the end level animation to complete. This doesn't seem like much, but it gets to the point where I'm like, dude, I know I beat the level. I was there. I saw me do it. Stop milking it. After the animation completes, you have a random photo of you in a level, which is kinda cute, and then you get back to the main world, and Caterpillar McCan't-Shut-Up starts gabbing again. Another thing that bothered me was the death menu. If you die in a level, the badge menu is brought up and it remains there until you select the badge you want. Now I get why this is here, but you can go into the settings and turn this off, and the alternate screen makes so much more sense. It's non-intrusive. You want a badge? Press R, otherwise, heck off. Speaking of badges, they're neat, but only 1 or 2 of them are really useful. I get it, if you're a die-hard fan of this game and you want to try to beat the levels in 100 different ways by switching out all the badges, that's great, and some levels are definitely designed around certain perks, but I basically played through the game with the parachute hat and nothing else. I even 100% of the game only switching badges when I needed to, and this wasn't out of laziness, I just didn't find many of the badges that useful. The parachute hat is OP, which means when I do die in a level and the splash screen comes up asking me to change my badge, it's like, why? I'm already at the top of my game here. Another thing I noticed was how kidsy this game feels. I get that it's made for an age range, but so were the others, and some of those levels in previous games were hard. In New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe Special Ops Recon Black Squad, God, did they give that game a lot of titles. There are levels that legitimately had me playing them for hours and sometimes days before I beat them, and there's nothing wrong with that. I remember a few times where a friend would walk up to me as I was playing Wonder and say, "Oh yeah, that level took me a while to beat," and then I'd beat it my first try and move on to the next one. I'm not saying I'm good at these kinds of games, that's the sad thing. Going from Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe to this game felt like a huge downgrade when it came to the challenge, which makes me feel like this game might have been a bit of a test. Let's see if the people like the new style and the novelty of the Wonder Seed dynamic, and if they do, our next game will feel more like a challenge and less like a casual stroll through an art show. If you are somehow really bad at this game, that's okay, because now you don't have to earn 1-ups and levels, you can just buy them. Let's talk about the power-ups real quick. The elephant power-up is used way too much. It's in basically every level, and it's not that I don't like it, but I can only stomach Mario saying "wowie zowie" so many times. Really, Nintendo? Wowie zowie? Now, I also know that this is more of an openish, worldish, game-ish, so you don't have to start at level 1 and progress directly to level 2, but it took me until level 4 to get the drill hat. Honestly, you fill a bag with all these badges that aren't enticing me, and then you give us 4 power-ups. We have the elephant, the bubble power, the drill, and then you have the iconic flower power. It's a weird feeling knowing that this game had so much content and yet feels emptier than their last game. And I gotta be honest here, the bubble power is kinda lame. You can do 2 things with it. You can plooty ploop the enemies, or you can bounce on the bubbles. That's it. It's lame. Moving on to one of the most disappointing things about this game to me, the first time I played this game, I played it with a buddy of mine. We went through half the game, and much later on I restarted alone, and this game is so much better without your friend. It's weird that Nintendo, of all companies, would drop the ball so hard when it comes to the co-op mode. They're the co-op company. Now, I hear a lot of you screaming at the screen. What do you mean? The co-op is great. No, it's not, and here's why. Firstly, the camera sucks. In older Mario games, if you moved away from your on-screen friend, the camera would zoom out and let you explore. In Wonder, you have a locked camera. There's no zoom at all, so if the player with the crown decides to go forward, you best believe you're going to be left behind. This can make for many infuriating accidental deaths and lost revives. A lot of the levels are made in such a way where you have to keep moving, so if one of you gets left behind, that's pretty much how it's gonna be. I'm especially annoyed at the lack of the pan and zoom in co-op because many of the previous games had a time limit to beat the level. This game doesn't. It implores you explore the map and it gives you all the time you want to do so. So why keep us so tightly connected? Another thing was how disconnected I felt to my friend. I mean, yeah, technically he and I were both playing Mario Wonder, but our characters have no collision. In past games, I could pick him up, I could toss him in the air to get a special coin, bounce off his head to make long jumps or solve a puzzle. I could even throw him off a cliff if I wanted to, and watch him plummet to his death. And this offered these Mario games so much more in terms of how you complete each level. In this game, there's one way to beat it. Play it the way Nintendo wanted you to, as they hold your hand through it and guide you along the path they carefully laid out in front of you. That's honestly fine, I get it. You spent a lot of time on this game, but isn't fun subjective? And if you're allowing me to play this game with my friend, let me be in the game with him. Let us interact and discover our own fun in the game you made, instead of making one of us camera king and the other a sad puppy being dragged along by the invisible leash that is the edge of the screen. We're basically taking turns playing the game instead of playing it together. Attached to this is the character roster. I wish we had more options here. I mean, for the love of God, there's 3 Toad characters and 4 Yoshis, and all the Yoshi characters are like Nabbit, which means you don't take damage. In layman's terms, there are many characters that most of us won't use. It's an even greater kick in the ass to know that any of these 5 invincible characters aren't allowed to use power-ups. So if you are playing this game with someone who would benefit from a character like this, they'll be seeing on screen all the cool things that you can do and get sad that they can't do that. All because I wanted to make the game more enjoyable for them. What you should have done, Nintendo, is given us one Toad and one Yoshi with a customizable color, so you can pick whichever you like best and then fill the rest with Wario, Waluigi, Daisy, and maybe a Shy Guy or something. Make every character usable, and if you are playing with your 4-year-old cousin or something, have every character come with an option to put on nabbit ears so they're impervious to death. There you go. I fixed it, Nintendo, now make it so. The last real thing to complain about is the 100% requirements. We have to collect every Wonder Seed. That's fair. We have to collect all 3 purple coins. Pretty standard. But what's the deal with the top of the flag thing? This isn't even a real challenge. It just feels arbitrarily attached to make it seem more difficult. There have been too many times where I got my Wonder Seed, I got my 3 coins, I didn't really care to play that level again, and I jump and are you serious? Now this is only for people who want to 100% the game, and I know not everyone is going to care about that, and that's fine. But having to replay a level simply because you missed the top of the flag is kinda lame, and I wouldn't blame anyone for downloading a 100% save after they've collected all the star seeds and the purple coins themselves so they can access the final level. My last question is my most nitpicky. But Nintendo, where are the Yoshis? No, I'm not talking about these ones. Where are these guys? Each level could have been so much more interesting and so much more dynamic if you'd given us access to more power-ups, real co-op, and our little Yoshis. What gives? Now I want to be clear. I loved this game. I loved playing it. This is one of those sit down and smile games, and I saw many reviews of people saying they loved this game and had nothing bad to say about it, but that's not love. Love isn't blind to the flaws. Love sees the flaws and still loves it anyway, wishing for nothing but improvement in a fully consensual and non-pushy way. I want to thank you for watching this video. If you haven't already, go out and buy this game. It's fun, it's beautiful, and it's one of the only Mario games that doesn't make you wonder what it's like to be on shrooms.